Welcome to Bloomington North Rotary on this, I guess, slightly sunny day here in Indiana. And I don't know if it's sunny still in Uganda or not, where our speaker is from, but we would like to thank everybody for joining us today or watching us later on YouTube. The events we have coming up would be our changeover we thought we were going to be doing next week. It turns out we are not. So we are working on scheduling a speaker for next week. Instead, we are going to be doing our changeover on July 1st. Amazingly enough, Joe Fuchetto was going to be on vacation next week. So we thought probably a good idea to have him there since he's taking over the reins. And I don't know of any other events we have coming up. So we are working on finding out how we can meet in person. Those of you who were on earlier, we've reached out to the tutor room. We're reaching out to the warehouse. We're reaching out to Ivy Tech. If you have other suggestions, I think we're reaching out to the lodge that Joe was talking about too. So we're reaching out to several, or Legion, maybe it was. We're reaching out to several places. We're hoping to be able to start meeting again in person very shortly into Joe's reign of terror. I mean, his presidency. And I think that's all the announcements I have. Jody, would you like to introduce our guests and our speaker today?
Yes, so we have Jackson Gurry on the phone. Most of you know Jackson as founder of Nayaka and a former Bloomington North Rotary member and a dear friend of all of us. And our speaker today is Raymond Mpamizo. Did I do that right? Close? Close. You're still muted, Raymond.
Yeah, that was very close. Mpamizo.
Mpamizo. Okay.
Yeah.
He is Business Development Associate for Afripads. Afripads is the group that we're going to be working with to help provide reusable feminine hygiene products and education to Nayaka. So Raymond and I have been communicating via email over the last couple of months, and it's really nice to meet him virtually and to let him speak a little bit further about the good work that they do in Africa. So I'll turn it over to you, Raymond.
Yes, thank you, Jody, for the polite introductions, and thank you everyone for being here. And
hello.
Thank you for giving us. Hey, team. Yes, and thank you everyone for giving me a chance to be part of the Bloomington North Rotary, and I'm really looking forward to a good engagement, and maybe I can become a full member soon. Looks like a family, and I would love to share my screen. Okay.
We can see your screen.
Can you now see my screen well?
Yes, we can see it.
Yes, so as Jody had already explained, my name is Mpamizo Raymond, and the N on my name Mpamizon was added in error at birth. It was added in error at birth. So I've grown up as Mpamizon, but my name, if it is to have a meaning locally, Jackson could be knowing that name very well. It's Mpamizo, and I'm a business development associate at Afripads, and those are my contact details. So I would like to speak about Afripads and what we do and how we do it and what is our drive. So every day we wake up as Afripads. Our mission is to empower girls and women, mainly through business, innovation, and opportunity. And this includes the women who are our beneficiaries, those who use our products, but also the women who we employ as Afripads. as Afripads, we currently employ over 150 people at our factory, which is actually also situated in an area where most investors or entrepreneurs would not dare to build a factory. We intentionally built our factory in a remote area in Uganda, in an area called Masaka, so that we employ rural women. These are marginalized people. They rarely have a chance to make $1 a day, but as Afripads, we empower them through business because our product is sold almost worldwide, and it gives them an opportunity to be part of the formal sector, the formal economy, and they earn reasonable amounts of money so that they can support their families, they can get medical insurance from work and everything like that. And by innovation, really, we are always thinking of how to make our product better and how to make the lives of our people better. And how do we always drive change? Because by the year we started, maybe just to give you a brief background of how Afripads started out, it started out in the year 2009. And it was started by 2 fresh graduates. One was from the US, another was from Canada. And they were boyfriend and girlfriend, but because of the economic recession, the Canadian, Mr. Paul, could not move to America and get a job there. And neither could Sonia cross over to Canada and get a job there. So they did the unthinkable. They instead decided to move in together, but move to Africa. And that's how they ended up in Africa. And they ended up in Uganda. And on their very first tour outside Kampala, they went to Masaka, and they met a group of girls at school. And when they asked them what they would want them to do for them, the girls responded they wanted pads. They wanted menstrual pads. And that was the inspiration that led to the birth of Afripads as it is known today. But back then in 2009, it was a company in one room, just a room with a sewing machine. And it was nothing like money or anything. They were just making pads specifically for the 5 schools which were in that area. And fast forward in 2015, the company managed to get funding from a few well-wishers and angel investors in Netherlands. And that's how Afripads managed to build a factory and boost our production. So how do we drive change? By the time Afripads set out, there was literally nothing on the ground, especially in Uganda, about the menstrual health and hygiene management. So there are many taboos, even until to date, about menstruation. And with taboos and myths, it makes it even harder to address the topic because people don't actually want to talk about it. And as a company, we have dedicated ourselves to change the status quo, and we do it through the product, education, and evidence, as I will explain later on. And we make sure our product is affordable, sustainable, and also environmentally friendly. And the reason we exist every day is we want to make sure that the whole world knows that menstruation is normal and it's natural, and there is nothing to be shy about it. And it's something that we talk about with dignity and with openness. And we want to help the girls overcome the barriers which are created by the myths and the taboos around it. And secondly, we believe that menstrual dignity is a matter of human rights. And we want to empower the girls around the world with protection to have them menstruate with dignity and comfort. And I will not move on from this without saying that a girl, especially in third world countries, the developing countries, has hundreds of reasons that could lead them to drop out of school. And as Afripads, we want to make sure menstruation is not one of them. And menstrual equity, the third aspect of it, why we exist, like I'd already said, menstrual equity goes beyond just a product. It goes beyond just a pad. And I was so happy that The moment we got in touch with Jody and the Nayaka team, it became clear that they're actually interested in addressing menstrual challenges in general or holistically. And we believe this involves the product, which is the pad. But if we don't have the education which will help us break the barriers, break the taboos, the myths, you're giving a girl a pad, but does she even know what's happening in her body in the first place before she actually uses a pad? Because what brings the myths and the taboos is because these people think there is something spiritual that is happening in their bodies. That's why they are bleeding. But if you teach them the biology, the education that this is actually something very natural, it is happening in your body, and that's why you're bleeding, they are more likely to accept the product you're giving them. And the third bit of it, the evidence, I believe as an organization, as Rotary, or even many other organizations as Nayaka, you would want to know that the pads that were distributed and the education that was offered actually had an impact. Otherwise, you will give out the pads, maybe they will sell them or they will throw them away and you'll think you gave them, and next year we'll do the same. So as Afripads, we have developed tools to help organizations and individuals come up with a way of measuring success of the implementations or the interventions that they come up with. And that takes us to the question, why reusable pads? Why didn't we become like, which company? Always, maybe. Why didn't we manufacture the disposables? Number one, from user experience testimonies, reusable sanitary pads, especially Afripads, are comfortable when they are being worn because they are made of pure cloth, and they are made of soft, pure cloth, and they don't have any chemicals in them, so they don't irritate the skin, and they are so comfortable. Number two, Afripads are quality certified by the UNBS, which is the national standards regulatory body. We got that certificate in 2017. That is when actually the certification itself happened in Uganda. Before that, there were no standards. And as Afripads, we are so proud that we were among the leaders of the technical bench that put that together. And when you look at the cost effectiveness, on average, a woman has 400 periods in her lifetime, on average. And that means 3,500 days of menstruation. And if each of these 3,500 days, that person is to be using disposable pads, on average, sometimes a woman can use up to 4. Someone can change up to 4 times, depending on their flow, of course. But that would mean it's 3,500 times 4. And that will be a lot of disposed items in the environment. That is not good at all. And as Afripads, being that our pads are usable, we reduce that by a half, because it means if you were to use in a whole year, if you were to use 100 pads, you're going to use only our 5 pads the whole year. We reduce it by more than 90%. The other thing is there is positive uptake for reusable pads, and this is backed by information from the Relief Web, from UNHCR, from the USAID, from Save the Child, and all the pilots that we've carried out, being that we are an evidence-driven company, we try to make sure that we get user feedback, and there is 99% positive uptake from the people who get them. And lastly, our pads are durable. They can be used for up to 12 months. So fast forward again into our kits themselves. What do we actually make? I had already shared this with Jody on email. So we have what we call the standard kits. These are our standard kits. the 4-pack and the 6-pack. So the 4-pack has 4 pads, which are all of 2 different sizes. One is the one that we call the night pad or the super maxi pad, which is this. This is the night pad. As you can see, it is much bigger, and we developed this after feedback from women saying, no, we actually feel uncomfortable having to wake up at midnight or at 1 to change my pad. So we have to make a pad that is more absorbent and can last longer when being used. And it also has 3 of these, plus a carrying pouch where to put the used pad in case someone has used it and they're at work or they're at school. And the 6-pack, the standard 6-pack, is exactly like the 4-pack, only that for it has 5 of these and 2 of these. So it has 5 of the maxi pad, which are the average pad, which lasts between 6 and 8 hours. And yet the super maxi, the big one, goes for up to 12 hours without need of changing it. However, we always put a disclaimer, you change when you feel your pad is full, because all women are different and they all have different flows. So our next kit, which we call the Afripads Schoolgirl Kit, is the special one. We developed it after having a pilot with school-going girls, and they were all, we had 89% of them saying the standard pad, this pad and this, were actually big on them, especially on the days when their flow is light. As you could be aware, younger girls have lighter flows. The blood is not so much. So they were saying this pad, these 2 pads were quite big for them on some days when their flow is lighter. So that's when we listened to them, took their feedback, and ended up coming up with the smallest pad you will ever see. It's called the mini pad. And it is specifically for schoolgirls. We don't sell it to women who are above 20, to girls who are above 20. It's only for 19 and below, and for school-going girls anyway. So our approach, again, I had already taken you through this, so I'll just skip it. Our pads are made by women, for women, with a lot of love. I can say currently our production capacity is on a full day, because it usually depends on the demand and on the supply anyway, the demand for our pads. So when there is a lot of demand, we actually manufacture, we decide to work 24 hours. So our women go into shifts other than working only through the day. So each of our pads, when we are producing at full capacity, we are producing around 12,000 pads a day, but each of our pads actually goes through a quality control hand. Each of them, we don't just do sampling on 10 or what, no, we actually, each of them goes through the hands of someone who will look at it carefully and make sure it is the right thing. And even with a small dot on it, it will not pass. And it takes a lot of love for us to do that. And I had already said that 85% of our employees are women, mainly from marginalized backgrounds, and we are talking about 150 people right now. Our Afripads factory, like I had said, if you're an entrepreneur, you would really want to drive down your spending and increase your profit. Simple. And as Afripads, we believe, yes, there is need for profit, but there is also a need to offer meaningful employment. Number 2, to be environmentally friendly. Number 3, to be to produce things ethically. You produce ethically, other than exploiting your workers or using shady procurement means. So we purposely took our factory in Masaka, which is about 30,000 square meters. That's quite huge. And we are an eco-friendly factory. What do I mean? We built our factory using interlocking soil stabilizing bricks. I'm not sure if you've heard of these, but they are made entirely 100% without any fire. Most of the bricks here, I don't know if you're aware, but here in Africa, we burn bricks to make them hard. But we use the technique which is called ISSB, which allows the bricks to get so hard, but without necessarily burning them. And as you can see in that image, that's the type of brick we used. And number two, the factory itself gets 90% of its light is natural lighting. So it does not, we don't consume a lot of electricity. And number three, or number four, we collect rainwater, which we actually supply to the neighboring village, meaning we don't have to, people don't have to walk long distances for clean water and everything. Why should you partner with Afripads? We have over 10 years of experience, and in that time, we have developed a special lab for menstrual health and hygiene. And we've worked with over 200 partners, especially the organizations. Here, we're not counting the individuals. And we have a holistic approach. We don't just give you a product, but we give you a product, we support you with education, and we give you the evidence that it worked or it didn't work, because it has to come out the way it has, the way it happened. And then we also produce ethically, which is a plus if you're to look at the current statistics. For example, if you're to be purchasing in Uganda and you're buying from, let's say, an importer, most likely those things are likely to be coming from somewhere like China or the Far East, and you're not sure about the production ethics that were involved in producing that product. And our products are all quality satisfied, and we are sure that they work. Our impact over the years, for the last 10 years, we have managed to reach over 3.5 million women and girls. That's one. We've worked with over 200 organizations, I already said that. Over 37 countries have been reached, and 70% of our distributions have actually gone to refugee women and girls across Africa. And we are so proud that we have now started seeing a change, especially from organizations, when they are sending out, let's say, a bid document for the supply of a dignity kit. So what organizations are doing these days is, instead of just giving the girl a pad, they give a pad and soap and maybe some jelly to smear themselves, and maybe something to cover themselves when they are going to bathe. So right now, what we are seeing organizations coming up with bids, like expression of interest requests, and they include it in their request that they actually want Afripads, which is really positive. It shows how far we've gone in producing nice pads. And as recent as last year, we did a survey, and it was in a refugee settlement in the West Nile of Uganda, and we found out that 61% of the refugees there said they did not have enough underwear to manage their menstruation well. And by the way, the story there in that refugee settlement doesn't go far away from what is happening in the general public of Uganda, in the public domain. Do you hear me well? Are you hearing me well?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So 61% of the people stated that they didn't have enough underwear to manage their periods adequately. And 51% of those that had actually even received an underwear said they were not satisfied with its quality. And 38% of those who received an underwear said they could not even put it on because it was so ill-fitting. So as Afripads, we've started also, in addition to our pads, we started now manufacturing underwear, because imagine if the 61 actually got the pads, you can't wear a pad without an underwear. And if they are not satisfied with the quality, it means it won't even last anyway because it's poor quality. And we have now started manufacturing our own underwear. And to date, as Afripads, we have delivered in 37 different countries, and we are currently available in 4 different countries. In Uganda, we have the factory and our head office. In Kenya, we have an office. In Malawi and Zimbabwe, we have country representatives. How can one get in touch with us? I'll leave behind my email, and that will be it for today. But maybe just the next slides were showing you our product use and care. Every time we sell our product, for this, even if the end user is not interested in the education, we usually give the free use and care instructions as part of the package. And also, we have now started having TOTs. We train trainers because we realized initially we were doing our end user training. We are delivering the trainings directly to the people who are going to use our pads. But we realized after the training, we are leaving that area and coming back to Kampala. So it means we have come back with the knowledge anyway. So what we are instead doing is to train people on the ground. Let's say when we are going to work with Nayaka, it means we are going to train the implementers of Nayaka back on the ground so that they can stay with the information, they can stay with the learning materials, and even in 5 years, in 10 years, they can be consultants in their areas. And I'll take the questions.
Well, first, I'd like to say thank you, Raymond, for coming and speaking with our group today. We really appreciate it. And for anybody who has a question, if you'd like to raise your hand, I will call on you so that you can unmute and ask. It looks like Jody's already unmuted, so I'm going to assume you have a question and let you go.
Oh, no, I was just going to say thank you so much. I know you and I have communicated with a lot of this information, and I've tried to pass it on, but you did a much better job than I have in communicating. And I'm very excited about our ability to move forward working with you to help with Nayaka. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you to Jody for the opportunity. I'm so glad.
Mr. President, I can also, it's okay to speak?
Yeah, go ahead, Jackson.
Raymond, thank you so much for the presentation and well put together and the work you do in Masaka. I have actually been to your factory before.
Oh.
Because when I'm going to Nayaka, that's where I pass going to southwestern Uganda. And we have also been funded by another organization. That's the ones I was traveling with when we passed by your factory. It has grown leaps and bounds. And I appreciate the environmental care you take. I appreciate the services you provide to the children, to the women of Uganda and our girls. I spoke recently with some of the Bloomington North Rotary Club members and told them I have become a man who talks about menstrual periods a lot. Now that makes 2 of us. As long as we continue to advocate for our girls, we will give them a better future. I can't wait for this partnership to start. And I promise you, our communities will work hand in hand with you to make the girls' lives better. And we will be representatives in southwestern Uganda, raising awareness, but also getting these pads to as many girls as we can. Thank you once again. And as you can see, I'm not on a train anymore. I've arrived. So I do need to run to a different meeting. Thank you. Be blessed.
Bye, Jackson. We'll be in
Bye,
touch.
Jackson.
Bye,
Thank
Jackson.
you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And as Jackson is leaving us, I'll share briefly about what he just said about the pads, being that he also talks about menstruation quite a lot. My wife recently made a joke about my backpack that I go to work with. She said, if someone ever checked your bag and he didn't know what you do, he'll think you're a weird guy. because you can imagine I carry underwear. I was just pulling these straight from my bag. I carry underwear around. I carry pads. So yeah, I've become a champion in that, and I take it on with good love.
Well, that's great. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this project getting underway. I know that Jody and our club have decided we're going to be also paying for a health worker to do the study for 12 months with Nayaka, because our hope is to be able to write an article that we put into Rotary International so that all the clubs around the world can learn more about Afripads and the desperate need for more period products for women in developing nations to where hopefully more and more clubs will want to take this up as a project that they do, because it's very attainable and it can make a large difference in a lot of young women's lives.
Yeah.
So,
that will be so good, and we are looking forward to this, really.
wonderful. Does anybody else have any other questions for Raymond or about the project that we're going to be working on? If not, I'm going to let us end early, but I'll give it a few more minutes just to see if anybody has any other questions.
Well, and I think we had another Rotarian join us. Jeffrey, are you still on?
He's not. He had
Okay.
to. I think he was having internet issues, but you can
Okay.
see in the chat. And so he is from Rotary Club of, oh boy, I'm going to mispronounce this, Rubaga.
Yeah. He's my supervisor. He's from the Rotary Club of Rubaga. He's actually their president right now.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, he should definitely recruit you into Rotary. I think you would fit in very well. I'm not saying that
Thank
we
you.
all carry a bag around of women's underwear, but I see Ryan raising his hand, so maybe you're not the only one. I don't know. I'm just
No, I have a question. Do you know of any other organizations that are doing this sort of work, either in Africa or in other places in the world?
Yes, I'm aware of at least Days for Girls. There is another organization called Days for Girls. They do it internationally. Actually, their head offices are somewhere in New York, but they manufacture in China.
Gotcha.
I'm guessing the reasons Ryan
Yeah,
is
and then
does a lot
we
with
have a
solar
partner
water.
called Womena. They actually also do the educate. They're actually the ones who help us with developing our education curriculum. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we have another organization called Womena who we work with hand in hand. They're our partners. They work in menstrual health, but for them, they are working with another product called a menstrual cup, not a pad. But they're so good with material, with education material especially.
Well, I saw that his name Jeffrey was trying to join us again, and I don't know if his internet connection is working or not. He just tried to come in again. I'm guessing
he could be having.
I'm asking because he does a lot of solar and water work projects in Central America. I'm guessing you were wondering if there's anything like this down in Central America.
Yeah, it just seems like it's. I mean, every woman in the world has a period, so it just seems like something that is needed all around the world. We haven't ever ran into that issue in Central America. There are definitely like health programs that the organization I work with. There are health programs that they work with, but I haven't ever seen this come up, but obviously I don't deal with it. So it's a first to me, but it just makes so much sense that it would be something that women and girls around the world would need.
Well, Ryan, one of the things that I shared at the wine dinner, and I know you weren't able to be there, UNESCO's statistics say that over 50% of girls in developing nations drop out of school when they start menstruating. And of those that attend, they miss an average of 20% of their school time because they don't have access to menstrual products. I think what Raymond said about myths and taboos in other cultures has a lot to do with it, that I don't think it's spoken about. And Raymond, I think I'm a nurse, so I don't have a problem talking about anything. But I think, you know, if you're a man married to a woman, if you're a woman married to a woman, if you're a man who has daughters, you know, this is part of life. And so good for you for just we need to normalize this body function so that we can get our girls educated, because we know when women are educated, they delay childbearing, they have better financial stability moving onward, and the world's just a better place when we've got girls educated. So I just think this is just critical work. And I could think of, like, you were talking about refugee situations, and I could think of, like, you know, refugee camps in the Middle East and different places where this has to be an ongoing issue.
And I want to welcome Jeffrey back. I see that you've joined us again. I don't know if you can unmute if you want to say hi. I understand you are Raymond's supervisor and president of your local club. So welcome to Bloomington North Rotary.
Thank you so much. Hopefully you can hear me. Can you hear me?
We can.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Raymond, for scheduling this meeting and reminding me to be part of this meeting. Apologies, I've been delayed because my Rotary Club meets today from 6 to 7. And as you know, we are coming towards the end of this Rotary year. So we had a club assembly. We happen to be a board member of the outgoing team and also part of the incoming team. So I had some presentations to do the other side. But I'm very happy to be here and being part of this presentation. I am 100% sure that Raymond has done justice to what was expected of him. Yeah, he has done such presentations before, and I'm sure we shall get more learn from your side and also work out on a relationship, and then we see how best we can impact on the girls of the communities that we intend to work with. Other than that, I will listen and then maybe come in at a later stage just in case of any need. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jeffrey. And I think we just lost Raymond from his internet connection. We'll see if it comes back on, but I think we were wrapping up anyways. He did a wonderful presentation, Jeffrey. We did record it. I will, it's going to be on YouTube later. So if you would like to watch it later, we will send you a link to that too, Jeffrey. If you post your email in the chat, I'll make sure that we send that out to you. And then, yeah, I don't know if Raymond's going to be able to make it back on, but as I said, I think we were about done anyways. I think we'd asked our questions. So I'd like to thank everybody for coming. I'd like to thank everybody once again for attending our African wine tasting the other night so we could raise money for this wonderful, wonderful project that we're going to be doing. And for those of you who didn't attend, it was a wonderful time. I'm sorry you couldn't make it, but thank you for the donations that you did make. As we mentioned, it went a long way towards helping us be able to provide a lot of pads, education, and a study to be able to provide evidence for all this. So thank you all once again. I don't know who our speaker is going to be next week. We're working on the Boys and Girls Club. That's what I'm crossing my fingers for. If you have somebody else in mind, let me know, since we are switching our induction or changeover meeting to July 1st now. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Or Adam, I know you're going to be down having fun at Disney, so we'll miss you. But everybody else, look forward to seeing you all next week. And have a wonderful weekend. And thank you all.